Well, hello, people. Hi, it's been a long time, right? It's like, wow, we took a 2 week break and it feels such a long time for me. Hello, urban sketchers around the world. It is so good to see you again. Wow, looking at the list, the comments, like this is one of the best things. This is something I really wait for at the end of the week, just to see all the comments and all the people who are joining us and all that. So, Debbie from Los Angeles, hello again. Eileen from San Francisco, Carol from Western Oregon, Myrtle and Jekar, hi from Delhi. Let's see, we've got Francoise from Reunion Island. Again, hello, it's good to see you. So many familiar names. Hey, Virginia. Maria Len from Ireland. Hey, Christina. So many of you. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. This is Rob coming to you live from Hong Kong. I hope you had a good break. And for all those who celebrated, happy Easter to you. I hope you had a nice time last week. Hope you've been creative and having fun and all that. Very important to know, this is the last show at this time zone. Next week, there was some confusion. I got a whole bunch of DMs and all that. Next week, we go 12 hours back to 3 a.m. GMT. So it's 11 p.m. here in Hong Kong now. It'll be 11 a.m. for me, 12 hours earlier. Next Sunday, so check your clocks. This is going to be a little bit confusing for some people, but basically it's 3 a.m. GMT. Please check. There will be a lot of promos to promote the time, so double check your time and make sure that you tune in and hit that button so that you know when the show is going to start. Yeah, it's going to be good. All right. We have such an action-packed show for you today, so I'm not going to be going on and on and on. Basically, if you've seen promos, and I'm sure many of you have, today we're going to be talking about how to sketch a country. Now, that sounds so loaded. Like, what do you mean? But for those of you who have an inkling, if you know about Portugal and the project that happened there a few years ago, then you know that it's going to be an exciting show. Now, we're going to talk about this, but not to frustrate anyone. What we're hoping to bring to you is the idea of possibilities and inspiration. We very well know, the USkTalks team knows very, very well that there are many people out there around the world in many cities who are locked down right now, or locked down again for I don't know how many times. So please, we're not trying to cause you any frustration. What we're trying to do is bring possibilities to you, because to set up a project like we're going to show today takes time, okay? So I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm getting ahead of myself now. Urban Sketchers, the movement is in 300 plus cities around the world. And it started because one guy, 11, 12 years ago, said, what if, are there other people like me around the world who are doing this, sketching from life and recording these stories? So from that, we've grown and we've spread all over the place. And the reason that this movement grows is because somebody else says, could I do something more? Or I love this urban sketching thing that I'm doing, and I would like to take it to another level. So there are all kinds of people asking all kinds of questions. And from that, we've got, people doing lectures and things like the symposium happened because of that, because people want to get together and do something. And in addition to that, there's so many other kinds of projects. So my question for you today is, if you could take urban sketching to anyone, like including the president or the prime minister of your country, or it could be your community center or your residents association, who would you want to introduce urban sketching to? Tell me in the comments, please. Let me know who you would like to introduce urban sketching to. Anyone. And it could be anyone. Okay, so we want to bring to you the idea that any dream starts somewhere. It could be big, it could be small, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a single sketcher in a city somewhere or you're part of a local chapter that is growing and feeling like, oh, we could do more. So let's see. Today we're going to talk about Sketch Tour Portugal. of which I have the honor of being a part of, round one in 2017. And we're going to bring together a whole bunch of exciting guests to talk to you and to tell you how this happened. You know, the visionaries, the organizers, and some of the sketchers who participated. So we'll give you our side of the story as well. Okay, let me very quickly look at the comments to see what kind of ideas to my primary school, to kids, to students. Yes. Everyone who needs to create a safe headspace. Yes. To schools, no, lots of schools, community centers, children, and the elderly. Alvin says to everyone who knows me, oh yeah, that'd be good. To architects and politicians of Stockholm. Okay, so yeah, some really, really great ideas. And you know what? I think I'm going to have to get in touch with some of you for some of these ideas in time to come. Okay, this is a great time for me to bring up our first guest for today. We're going to pull up Peggy Wong. Hello, Peggy. How are you?
Hi, Rob. Hi, everyone.
For everyone who doesn't know, Peggy is our events director for Urban Sketchers. So, Peggy, first up, when can we organize? When is something going to happen, like in the Urban Sketchers community?
Like, everyone can organize something on their own. I mean, what Urban Sketcher was before, I mean, like how we all started, it was a grassroots organization, meaning that how you get together with a couple of sketchers in your own backyard and you form a chapter and you register yourself with the Urban Sketcher organization. You have already created an event, but on a smaller scale. So what Urban Sketchers as an organization do, we plan other sorts of events, or we just form a framework, what we call the events guidelines, and then you tell us what you want to do, and then we will explore the ideas with you. But yes, anyone can organize an event.
Okay, well, that's a very important question. And just in case someone wants to get in touch with Peggy, this is the email for the events director, events@urbansketchers.org. So Peggy, it's good to know that if someone wants to organize something, it'll be good if they get in touch with the movement itself so that everyone's aware of what's happening. But say someone wanted to do something, what would be the first steps that they would need to take, would you say?
Well, everything starts with a seed, even a giant tree. So if you even have an inkling of what you want to do, like what we've already seen in the comments section, like all these ideas about bringing Urban Sketcher to your local community, bringing your Urban Sketcher ideas to a politician in your state or even in your country, that is an idea. So you can explore the mechanism if you're not sure how this works with people around you, or explore it with Urban Sketcher as an organization. What we've learned over the years is that there is no one event, or there is no one format for an event that fits to everyone around the world. And that's what makes us unique. So we can explore together, because this is always sometimes locality specific and also culturally sensitive. So it all depends on what suits your people, your region, and your community.
Cool. Okay. Well, can you give us some ideas of like model events or inspiration that people can draw from? Or
sure.
They can see on Google.
Let's talk about in different scales, a small, a medium, and a large event. So the small events will be your local chapter going out on weekends, sketching when you can. Like right now, it's a bit restricted, but that's fine. And in an even smaller scale is you yourself and maybe someone you know quite often, going out together, sitting there, sketching, going home and sharing online. And on a larger scale is something what we've come to love and kind of miss right now is the symposium. It's a gathering where urban sketchers meet and sketch together. And that's why the symposium is special, because we meet in person. And that's what we do as urban sketchers. We meet in person, even on a smaller scale, and sketch on location. So on the middle scale is something regional. What we've seen so far is the West Coast Sketch Crawl, even like in Brazil hosted something, Australia hosted Sketch Weekend, and Asia Link AsiaLink has been going on for a couple of years. It started with Bangkok, and every Asian country who has a couple of chapters can get together and host one. So even in my hometown, Kuching, we hosted an AsiaLink sketch crawl before. In Europe, there are a couple as well of regional events. So what regional events allow is more accessibility to people around themselves. Sometimes you don't even need to fly. You can take a train or drive yourself there. But on the international scale, right now it's a bit restrictive because of travel restrictions, as we know. So maybe focusing regionally or on a local and national level would be something to look forward to.
What kind of advice can you give to the sketching community, especially like under current circumstances? As lots of places we can't get together, like in Hong Kong, you can't have more than 4 people together. So what advice do you give to the sketching community if they want to hold something, but under current circumstances now, sometimes you can only meet on Zoom, but sometimes it's very small groups.
Immediately, what I
right
saw, Donald Saluding from Indonesia, they did like a really fantastic event. I think he calls it nasi campur or something. Donald, can you help me and comment on the section? I know you're at the show today. So so it's basically a get together where people do show and tell of sketching. So it's not live sketching or virtual sketching, but a show and tell. So I think that is an essential part of when we gather as an urban sketcher. You sketch together, but at the end there's that show and tell, or some people call it a throwdown. And that's what makes every urban sketcher outing special, where people gather and talk about their artwork. So great work, Donald. That was quite inspiring. And on a larger scale, I think right now you can think about what you want to do down the line, because a lot of times events don't happen just like that. They take time to plan. Even an event like if your weekend sketch is next weekend, it does take time to gather people and think about where you want to go, how many people can go, and how are we going to get there. So if you want to plan a regional event or a statewide event or a countrywide kind of event, then you need to explore logistics, locations, all these other things, accommodation, programming, and all this. It does take time. So I would think like, even when we talk about Sketch Tour Portugal later, you will see that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes months ahead of planning. So if you think you want to do something next year, or maybe 6 months down the line, right now is somewhere to plant your seed.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds good. I mean, it also looks promising that vaccines starting to roll out all around the world. Now we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Herd immunity is somewhere there, we hope. And one day, we'll be able to fly, we'll be able to meet again.
Yeah.
So that sounds very promising. Planning stages, research, understanding what needs to be done. Okay, so let's jump to Sketch Tour Portugal, because it is so different in terms of the different kinds of urban sketcher collaborations that have happened around the world. Let's bring Mário online to help us to understand that a little bit better. Hey, Mário, how are you?
Hello. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, whenever we hear about Mário, like Mário is like this beacon, people hear that Mário's going to be on the show, and then, the viewership goes boing. So thank you, Mário.
No research today. No historical research today.
Yes, no historical research. That's why he's like grinning. He doesn't have like a whole bunch of research he has to do with facts crammed into his head. Okay, Mário, you were instrumental in putting together Sketch Tour Portugal. Please tell us briefly, like, how did this come together? How did this idea come to you? How did this all begin?
Okay, thank you. It was really simple because we were, at the time, I was the education director of Urban Sketchers in 2016. And in 2017, we wanted to celebrate 10 years of Urban Sketchers. So we started to think, what can we do to celebrate? And I start thinking, maybe in my country, I can do something, because we are an international organization, but I live in a specific country. So I emailed the tourism of Portugal asking for a meeting. because I had this idea of doing something together with them. And they replied to the email saying, okay, let's have that meeting. And I brought all my sketchbook, not all, but some sketchbooks to show. And then in that meeting, I said, okay, maybe we can show the country in a different way, because we have the videos and we have photography, but drawing has a different way, because we need time to see things and sketch things. And that's how it started. And then we started to meet and develop the idea together. And in the end, the project was made.
Wow. That sounds really exciting. Okay, we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes of that, or because it's Portugal, feijoada, you know, or if you like it, pasta de nata. I mean, there's so many people out there who are like, oh, yeah, pasta de nata. Okay, thank you, Peggy. Stick around. We'll have Peggy back in a bit. And for now, we're going to talk to Mário to find out a little bit more about Sketch Tour Portugal. So for those of you, I can't believe anybody does not know who Mário is, but Mário used to be our Urban Sketchers Education Director. That's his hero shot. That's him on Instagram. Okay, Mário, so tell us, in the course of all this, why do you have this picture of the turkey and the sketcher?
Yeah, I wanted to start with a picture of Gabi, the founder of Urban Sketchers. And this particular picture is amazing because reveals how the vision and the courage of Gabi to do things in a different way. So if he wanted to sketch there, he went to right in the center of the place. And I think Gabi is an inspirational person for all of us. And actually, it was because he started the movement that we were celebrating 10 years. And if we were not celebrating 10 years, I will never send the email to the tourism. So that's why I wanted to start with Gabi, because I wanted to honor him and give him some credit.
Understood. Makes absolute sense.
Yeah, and the next slide, and we will be really brief because we have a lot to show. Another really important thing is the Sketch Tour Portugal project was possible because we, urban sketchers all around the world, we continue to sketch every day. And our practice is really important, because without that, the project will never will be put together. So I think showing this lot of sketchbooks reveals that it's not only about ideas or projects. You need to work, you need to sketch every day, you need to practice. And that's a really, really important thing.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because I mean, you had this idea of putting all this together, and you were basically connecting the dots and using your experience as a sketcher to help to initiate this process. What was it like? Like, what was the selection process? I'm sure everyone wants to know, like, how did you pick the sketchers to participate in this? What was the process of selection?
Yeah, for the first project in 2017, it was really funny because in the meeting with the tourism, they started asking me, okay, do you have someone in Germany? Because for Germany, we want them to meet and know more about the south of Portugal or the island, and then it was a really interesting conversation, because I never thought that the tourism had that clear idea for Italy. For the Italians, they wanted to show the north of Portugal. So, and I said, okay, yeah, it's possible. We have sketchers all over the world. So just tell me those who you want. And then instead of doing an open call to collect proposals, because with open calls, not all the people applies, I decided to take the approach of a curator, like an exhibition. When someone prepare a curator and you try to select one international sketcher with a national sketcher, because that was a really important thing for the project, because Portuguese people are really, I truly believe that we are welcoming, and we really love to welcome people and receive them and show them the country. I was also trying to understand, okay, is this person in the time that it takes to create a drawing will work together with that person? So it was more a curator process than just an open call.
Curatorial, because I guess I understand now. I mean, after having been in that also, there's so many components that go into organizing this, getting the sketcher, and also that idea of, was it your idea, Mário, to pair an international sketcher with a local sketcher from Portugal?
I think it's in our veins. I don't know if it was my idea or it was during the discussions with the tourism, but when we organize something, we always feel that we need to welcome the people. I remember that the symposium we organized in Lisbon in 2011, each Portuguese urban sketcher went to the airport to pick the international instructor, and we drove them to the hotel by our cars because we wanted to be there just to say welcome to our country. It's something that's really in our body. I don't know.
Yes, having been to Portugal a few times, I can certainly attest to it. It's incredibly friendly, not just among the sketching population, but also among the locals. Very, very welcoming. And many people speak English, so it's quite. If you haven't been to Portugal out there, put it on your list. You can start planning and researching, and after this show, you will have some ideas about where to go. Okay, so let's see. This is the Sketch Portugal logo, which was very cool. And you also have a video that you wanted to play for us.
Yeah, well, the logo is cool because it was also inspired by the name Sketch Tour Portugal. It's inspired by the Grand Tour that in Europe has really deep roots. But also these pencils that the agency that works with the tourism created that points to the north, south, east, and west. So we can see that we also think in a global way. And it's really connected with urban sketches because we are also global. So yeah, the logo is really cool.
Yeah, I remember.
And then they created the teaser. The first teaser to show the project is the next one. And I believe that maybe some people never saw the teaser, so that's why maybe we should present it.
Let's share it. This is Sketch Tour Portugal. Was in 2017, correct?
Yes.
2017. Yes. Okay, let's play the video. Let's run the video.
Yeah. This was the 2017 teaser, and the project was really amazing. And we will have the opportunity to share drawings and more info. So yeah.
Yes. If you've just joined us, everybody, welcome to USkTalks. And this episode, we're going to be talking about Sketch Tour Portugal. What happens when you think you want to take urban sketching to people anywhere, and you really, really dream big. So, okay. Thank you, Mário, for that quick introduction. Going to be really exciting. Stick around, and we'll have you back real soon. Thank you. Next up, we are inviting the president of Turismo Portugal, Luís, who is no stranger to the Urban Sketchers community. Hello, Luís. How are you?
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Fantastic. And so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for making time to be on the show. And also thank you so much for saying yes and stamping the Sketch Tour Portugal and saying, yes, let's go ahead with this. I mean, it's such a fantastic initiative.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much, and wonderful to be here with so many friends. I've been looking at the YouTube, and I recognize most of the names and emails that I see there. So glad to be here, and happy Easter to everyone. Yes, it's a very nice project, especially for me, because I can mix my two loves, tourism and sketching. So it's a matter. It was just gathering two great things and very important things for me in just one action. But of course, the merit and the privilege of working with so many sketchers in Portugal was incredible. I think it was a wonderful and beautiful project.
Well, it was incredible, and was so thoughtful on so many levels also. I mean, and we'll show you, for all viewers out there, we'll show you how some of the artwork was used. We'll show you some of the artwork that was produced. But first, Luís, I have to ask you a very important question, because you head Turismo Portugal, the Tourism Commission of Portugal. In the course of everything that you do, and you have the heart of a sketcher, which is something that is so dear to the urban sketching community. You understand this. You are one of us. And
I have the heart, but I'm lacking a hand. I should practice more my hand. Just the heart isn't enough. No.
Oh, please. You're very kind and you're very, very humble. But okay, we're going to be showing some of Luís's work as well, because he is a very, very accomplished sketcher in his own right. Look, just take a look at that. Amazing stuff. Do you sketch a lot right now, Luís?
No. Not as much as I should, because it's really, and I've seen one of the comments, sketching should be recommended to anyone who needs some mental peace and some quietness, and I should sketch more, that's for sure, but not as much as I wanted to.
Okay. Well, you do some amazing stuff. Like, this is so cool, this particular piece. It looks like a little mountain village somewhere. And is this like somewhere close to your home or something? There's so many.
Yeah, well, this is all in the islands. It's all in the Azores, and you were talking about the project, and I think that was one of the reasons of the project. We wanted to show Portugal in a different way, and it's completely different, showcasing Portugal through sketches. That's why we touched the 7 regions of Portugal. We touched items or products that had to do with our culture, with our what we're doing right now, the music festivals, the golf courses, the surf. All these products are really important for the country as a tourism destination. So we thought to put together all this, and Mário was really incredible doing this, because what we said also was we need people from certain countries, because those are the countries we work more with, or we have more tourists. So it's important for people to be identified with someone from their own country. So it was a beautiful experience, and most of these sketches are in Portugal. I only sketch when I travel and when I'm on holidays. So now I don't travel anymore, or at least I hope I will travel very soon to our next USK symposium, that's for sure.
Oh, yes.
But it's just a hobby that, as I told you in the beginning, it's a matter of joining a hobby with something that is really important to me, which is tourism in my country. So we thought it was a real nice project for that.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I mean, in terms of you bringing your creative pastime, and you're doing creative work as well, promoting Portugal through tourism. How do you find that these two types of creativity come together? How do you use your sketching creativity in your work?
That's a very good question, Rob, especially because when we have very boring meetings, I realize that I sketch more during that meeting than anything else. No, I think we need creativity for everything. Anything in your life, even if you have the most boring job, or you think you have the most boring job in the world, you can take some creativity out of it or make it better using your creativity. And I think most of what we've done these past few years in Portugal was that, with a lot of creativity, and of course with a very solid base, a very good product, because we have to say we have a very good touristic product, beautiful landscapes, very safe country. We're the 3rd safest country in the world. It's incredible, I mean, the reception that people do it to you and how they treat you. So creativity is crucial. And I think this is another way especially in these days that we're moving into digital and all these kind of platforms and being everywhere, that you have some very simple and beautiful things such a sketch or just a line or just a sentence about your country in someone's book. It's something really, really special. So I think this was the reason to do this. And this is the reason why we're doing the second edition, of course.
Aha, well, before we jump ahead to that, okay, let's take this question from Katarina, who would like to know, with the sketch tour, did you discover something about your country you did not know before? Were there any revelations for you?
Well, I discovered many different places, especially this last year, because we have to travel only inside the country. So I discovered many new places. But I think that the most important is that you see and you remember places in a different way when you sketch them. And I think that happens to anyone who's a sketcher. We have thousands of pictures in our iPhone or in our phone, but we remember each sketch we did, where we were, who we were with, what was the conversation. And I think this is so beautiful in terms of what you are right now and what you want for the future. That for me, that's the most important thing. I have, and that's something very interesting. I have much better memories of places when I sketch them than places that I don't sketch. So.
Yeah. I think that's something that every sketcher experiences, and I think we have probably better brains in some way because of that as well. All those rich memories that we pull in, and the patience that we develop as sketchers.
The patience, yes, the patience, especially when you're traveling with someone and that someone doesn't have patience to wait for you. That's really very important. So I would say it's a wonderful hobby. But most important, it's a way of living. It's a lifestyle. It's like surfing or like golfing or anything else. It's and I completely agree with you. You look at things in another perspective. You simplify things. You coordinate. You see beyond that. You try to synthesize or to make a resume of what you're doing in just one piece of paper. And if you could do that in your work or in your life or in any decision that you have to take, I would say it's beautiful. And sometimes, of course, I do that for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. In the course of doing this, also this entire project, I mean, you got a whole bunch of sketches together working with local sketchers, and you represented your country through sketches. What kind of feedback did you get after the project was over? I mean, in the international community and with the tourists and all that, how did they respond to all this?
Well, I think it was wonderful, especially for the surprise, because we're now used to see countries portrayed in a certain way, those beautiful landscapes, the best known monuments, and this is very back to basics. It's very your own opinion on a place or on something completely different. So surely if you see a sketch and you go to that place, well, at least if you see mine, reality has nothing to do with that, or at least it's much, well, reality is much better than that, that's for sure. But
not at all. Well, go on. Sorry.
No. But it's the opinions were very positive. Of course, the opinions from sketchers, and this is not just for the sketching community. Of course, we understand and we know I'm part of the sketching community. The first meeting that we had in Lisbon I think it was 2011, the first symposium. I was at the symposium. I was really surprised. It was my first contact with the urban sketcher. The last one we had in Porto 3 years ago, we had thousands of people sketching, a few hundreds at the symposium. And of course, that's important. It's important to bring people to your own country. But the most important part is showcasing a country or showing a country through different eyes. And we always say that the best ambassadors of a country are the ones who visit us. In this case, they're both ambassadors because they speak about the country, but they can show also a different country that no one has seen yet.
That's true. And having been part of it myself, I mean, I was just to let the viewers know, I was part of the first leg, because the Sketch Tour Portugal, correct me if I'm wrong, was a monthly thing, right?
Yes,
So every
yes.
month it was local sketchers paired with international sketchers, and every month it was a different location. So this was over 12 months.
Yes, I'm not sure if it was 12 months, but it was during a period of an entire year, because we had to do a special reportage. We had to film everyone, gather all the sketches. We have people from different parts of the world coming, gathering with Portuguese. So it was quite an interesting experience, and I'm sure the second edition, the reloads, will be as interesting as the first one, I think.
Yes, I have no doubt, and we will be jumping and talking into that very soon. Next up, we're going to introduce some of the artwork from some of the sketchers who went. We're going to feature 3, and we're going to start with me, because I was at the first one, and also the first one was at Fatima. So for those of you who out there who don't know where Fatima is or the significance of this place, Luís, could you explain to everyone the significance of Fatima, please?
Yeah, well, everyone is welcome. And
we went around and drew. Sometimes we work together, and I'll just talk over it. Experience. And like Luís said, you feel the unity of humanity. I'm not religious, spiritual, and I think a lot of sketchers are as well. So just being there and seeing that the diversity of people, no matter what it was like. I mean, sometimes it was raining and pouring. So I captured Eduardo sketching indoors or outdoors. It was fascinating for all of us to see the diversity of people who attended this 3-day celebration, because it was the 100th anniversary. So wherever we could, like sometimes, it'd be dry, we'll sketch. Sometimes indoors, sometimes outdoors. We captured the basilica because of its majesty as well. And for those of you who are not aware, I work on an iPad, so I had to stay out of the rain. I also wanted to show like how people came and sometimes the hotels were filled up, so they brought their camper vans, they stayed in their cars, they stayed in tents. And also, again, the diversity. Some of these people walked hundreds of miles to attend. So you saw all kinds, all shapes, all sizes, all nationalities. It was a fascinating thing. Some of these sketches were done very, very quickly. So something like this was under 10 minutes. I just really, really quickly captured, because getting candles at 50 cents each, euro, and then burning them to express your wishes, something huge that was happening all the time. So what I tried to do was capture vignettes of what was happening through the entire 3 days. So this was the first mass. We were waiting for the Pope. There was such a sense of anticipation, and you know what? It was so crowded, but like Luís said, the way that people made me feel welcome. I couldn't speak their language, and everybody's packed like sardines, which is also very tasty in Portugal, by the way. But they'll make way for you. Sometimes, I had strangers who offered me food, and of course, when the Pope finally showed up, it was like, whoa! It was so huge. And there were also quieter, more beautiful moments. Like there was statues put up to remember those 3 little shepherd children. So we went there to draw as well. Again, multinational. This is where the 3 children grew up. So what I tried to do was capture little bits to show what the entire 3 days was like. This was probably one of those most memorable for me, because there was this night mass. And again, I don't know the language. They're singing in Latin or Portuguese, I'm not sure. But whenever the candles went up, you see the sea of light, and you feel the unity of humanity. It doesn't matter where you're from or what your spiritual background is. It was one of the most beautiful things. And again, for me as well, it was pretty amazing, because I'm a short guy. And what was happening is when we first squeezed in, there were all these tall people who were, all I could see was one guy's back. And then again, no words are necessary. There was this lady who looked around, saw me, and because I was drawing on an iPad, it was lit up. So she nudged this tall guy who's standing in front of me. Turns out to be the husband, and she told him to move. So the bodies parted so that I could draw the scene, and it was beautiful. Then more people parted, and then they noticed that it was a bunch of sketches, and we were recording that, and people really respected that. It was so beautiful. I also captured part of my other colleagues who were sketching, the camera crew, and on the last day with the last mass, this was maybe 1.5 million people. So we had to work really quickly. Someone spontaneously said, "Come up to my hotel roof terrace and you can draw from there." Again, the wonderful generosity of the Portuguese people. And then this was the final mass. So it was amazing. It was intense, but it was a absolutely beautiful thing to be a part of. So thank you very much, Luís, for saying okay to that.
Thank you, and wonderful to see your sketches right here. They're amazing.
It was truly incredible. I mean, I look back to that and think of what an honor it was to be part of that. And also that idea that you all had to pair a local sketcher with international sketchers, I think it's totally brilliant.
Yeah, well, the idea was also showing how you could be welcomed by a Portuguese sketcher. So I think it matched very, very well.
And yeah, I think that was invaluable because Fernanda, who was accompanying us, was able to explain some of the details and translate for us as well. So it felt very personal, all this information we were getting versus, a phrase book or a pamphlet or something
exactly.
like that. Okay, so my bit's done. Let's bring up the next sketcher. Let's invite Suhita all the way from San Jose. Hello, Suhita.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for being on the show. And you've also got some amazing stuff to share with us. Some of you in the audience would have seen some of Suhita's work in season 1. We also had her on the show there. Otherwise, if you are meeting Suhita for the first time, and I doubt very much you are because Suhita is really, really well known. Suhita, can you introduce yourself very quickly?
Everyone. I'm Suhita. I think it's best to talk about the work. Let's talk about Sketch Tour Portugal. It was lovely to go back through the sketchbooks and relive 2017. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to start to pull stuff up so that you can share that.
Lovely. So actually, if you pause here a bit, I want to pick up where we stopped off, Rob. So one of the most amazing bits of what we did was that we did 6 days. This is João Catarino. If you don't know him, look him up. Nobody knows the waves and the seaside of Portugal like João. I was there with him to do this, and it couldn't have been more brilliant because not only is he a brilliant sketcher, he was fantastic. It was 2 of us in his car driving around 6 days, never stayed 2 days in the same town. So we drove and we sketched the west coast of Portugal, not the southern quiet beaches where you go, for the sunny Mediterranean stuff, but the coast that you surf. And the other part of this is João is a surfer. So we hit every little, we drove with his longboard. I found out the difference between a longboard and a shortboard, between a tube and a barrel, all kinds of things João brought to this. And we went to little beaches that were off the radar. Couldn't have been more brilliant. So the pairing of 2 sketchers, fantastic.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And I've met João a few times. He's a really, really fun guy. So you must have had such a ball. Okay, let's show some of your artwork. Tell us, Suhita.
So yes, really quickly, we were drawing. The main event we were covering was something called Rip Curl, which you can stop at some point in this so I can talk a minute. But it was Rip Curl, which is a surf competition. And pardon me if my pronunciation is all over the place. It's super tubush, which is these super tubes. They are these big tubes that you surf. So the big waves you see in the first sketch in that slide on the left, a surfer actually goes through those tubes. They have to surf the tube and come out the other side. And it's a huge competition. It's an international competition. And that was the main event we worked around. And, you talked about how Rob, when you were in Fatima, you said the anticipation for the Pope coming out. The crowd, I can't say it was on that scale, but it was very close. There's a Portuguese, I have the lettering on there. There was a Portuguese surfer called Kikas. And when he came out, the crowds went mad. It was quite challenging to draw because, all the cameramen there, I sketched the cameramen because they had these long lenses. And there's Joao and me on the beach in the middle of thousands of people trying to get the surfers out there. Very exciting. But I love the madness of action and lots of people. So it was fantastic to draw.
Yeah, and it's right up your alley because you're so good with the quick captures as well. And the way you've done the waves,
it's great fun. If you pause that one just at the beginning for a bit. So between when we were doing competitions, well, we were also going all these places. There'd be a competition in the morning. We have a break. We go off to Nazaré, which is this town with waves that go over 100 feet tall. If you look up Nazaré, you'll say it has the biggest waves in the world. And people come there to break records and surf these waves. So we were going and drawing that. And I've never seen anything as crazy inspiring and also terrifying, but in a mind-boggling way. It's men against waves. So I thought I was going to cover a competition about surfing, and that's where it started. But then as we roamed the coast, you'd even get these really quiet moments, and it took sitting there and drawing to figure what people are doing. Because if you watch surfers, like I have a bunch of sketches of these surfers, they just sit, they seem to be sitting around doing what? And then you see they're waxing their boards. It's very meditative, but they are really communing with the sea. And you need that long sort of time of a sketch and sitting there and watching to see that it's a back and forth. It's not this, let me go conquer a wave. It's more meditative. It's a long process. It's actually a conversation with the sea. They think about it. They know when to get out and when to be respectful and just sit there waxing their board till it's time. So I feel if I were me and a camera traveling this coast, I would never be in a place long enough to, watch these repeated slow actions and to see this dialogue in this way. So that was quite fascinating. And of course, there was Joao with me. So I got the physics of those waves. What makes that underwater canyon at Nazaré make the 100 feet waves? He even looked at some waves I drew and laughed and said, that's not a surfable wave. So it was fantastic. It was physics lessons, culture lessons, everything all together.
Was Joao surfing while, in between?
Yes. If we were driving, we drove in his car, his longboard on the top, it juts out a good way beyond the car. He sees a good wave. We stop. Joao gets into his surf stuff. He's gone. I get one more sketch in. Joao catches a wave.
Wow.
The question is, did you surf, Suhita?
I don't dip my toes in cold water. So I drew.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, this is the way that surfers commune with nature, right? I mean,
it was fantastic to watch it through their eyes because and you're speaking of the sea. We started out with the sea, and then you see Portugal's deep connection. If you pause right there, yeah, with the sea, we were traveling the coast, so it's not just surfing. Those little boats, I brought home a little boat from Nazaré. I love my little carved boat. But that's octopus traps. And I stood there and this guy fixed it for a long time. He was just working on fixing lobster traps. He's a fisherman. And I had Joao to help me understand what was going on. Because, if I was traveling the country on my own, is that a lobster trap? Is that an octopus trap? And those were octopus traps that he was fixing. And it was a very meditative sort of bringing the ropes together kind of process. And then sometimes we'd find anglers. So if you keep going, there'd be anglers at every beach. And then there'd be fishermen that carry this basket on their back, and they go out with their rod, and every so often they flip a fish into that basket. But it's so tied to the sea. It was lovely to see how so much of the lifestyle along the coast is tied to the sea.
Yeah. Extremely rich. And so much to see. I'm just
So
curious.
much to see. And 6 days of packing it in and getting the idea that there is more to the sea than you can see, if you just go as a pure tourist who goes for the beach.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, while you were watching the surf competitions and all that, were there any women surfers?
Not in this competition, although in Nazaré, where the big waves are. I know that one of the most recent records that was set was by a woman who I think her record is right up there with the men's record for the highest wave surfed, which means you have to successfully surf the wave. In Nazaré is an 80-foot wave. So the scale of these things, you have to be taken up there by a power motorboat. You cannot get to the top of those waves.
Wow.
So, there are many women surfers who surf these waves. I did not see them in that competition.
Okay.
It was fantastic. In fact, one of the things that came to mind when we were in the competition and standing there and they're all yelling for kickoff is, I don't know American sports enough, but it was like being in a cricket stadium and Tendulkar comes out to bat. And I don't know how many people watch cricket, but it brought that back. And then there were other vistas. So it was not all, just beaches. There were cliffs of brilliant colors. I won't attempt that name, but that's a little secret beach that Joao took me to. He knows all these coves that we get to and draw. So we drew on the cliffs. We drew on different vistas around the coast. Mm-hmm. And the food. Gosh.
Oh, the food, yes.
We drew all day. I think we did 8 to 10 sketches at least, each of us a day. So we drew through our meals, but what meals they were. And the lovely thing was I could say to Joao, what should I eat here? And he'll say, in this particular town, it's about this kind of, this was octopus made with baked potatoes. And I'll eat anything. And it was fantastic to get like a really local take. Every town has a tart. If you think there's one kind of patata, that's not true. He could tell me the variation of that one tart in every town. And my double espresso is what kept me going.
Yes. What would you say about the intensity of those days that you were there sketching? Because it was pretty full on for me also, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So it's the same thing. It's full on. We did 6 days. We did probably, I don't know how many countless beaches. We also drove the whole coast. So we were in a different town every day. We slept in different towns. We drove a whole bunch of towns. But I think to be immersed like that is what it takes to really feel it in every way. And so to say, was it crazy, is a little bit like saying, I don't know, I've done the symposium so many years. I've taught at it. I've been correspondent at it, and it's all mad and crazy, but in a way that you never want to exchange it for something else. I would, in a heartbeat, go do this again. It was incredible.
Yes, I so hear you. I so hear you. It's and I think to do that was, even though you paired with a complete stranger, that local person who's giving you the insider information and showing you stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily find on your own.
Sure. I think Joao and I were strangers for the first 5 minutes. Done.
Right.
And just a little bit about this slide. I think this is what I am going back to explore the next time I'm back in Portugal. So there is the surfer, right? Me and the water, not going to happen, but I love the sea. And this was an exciting sight to see this whole lifestyle where Portuguese tourists, they are tourists in their country. Often surfers are in these camper vans and they roam the coast, stopping whenever they see a good wave. And they can spot, I was with Joao, he can spot, all beaches look the same to me, and he'll say, that's a good wave. And we stop. And the vans in front of us would stop. Especially what I loved is around sunset, you'd suddenly have all these vans stop because all these surfers want to catch this last wave, ride the waves back as the sun is setting. So they will suddenly stop. You'll see them run down with their surfboards and they catch those last waves. I don't surf, but I feel what the magic is for them when I see them do that.
Yeah, it's like we're running to catch the light to paint just before it disappears, kind of.
Yes. And they were literally riding back as the sun sets. It was fantastic. Wow. And beaches all over. When we went to the south, the beaches got less about the big waves and the competition style riding. And I think we all felt it. Portugal welcomes everybody. So, you can be a surfer, you cannot. You can be there on the beach. You share the beach with them. You can be a big wave rider. You can have your kids with you. I saw little kids when you go to the more southern beaches, still on the west coast. They ride the waves with their parents. And the food. I won't start about it.
Yeah, the food is something else. Especially, we know that Portugal is, has such a strong connection to the sea. And really, I have not had seafood like I've had in Portugal.
No, it's fantastic. And the tots and we even went to the churches and the whatever. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but for me, it was so connected. One, I would say the west coast of Portugal has a deep connection in the surfing community to the coast I live on in California.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That same sort of feel. And then my home in India is Goa. So the food, the churches, the everything. Being in some parts of the city my parents live in is like being in the old parts of Portugal, climbing the hills, finding those little roads. So I love the country, but I should stop there because I could go on forever.
I totally get it. We could go on and on. Luís, you should interview us again and do longer videos, where the artists talk over the artwork and yeah.
To tell you the truth, I was shocked because I only saw 1.5 minutes of video, and I recommend everyone to see each video of each of you, and it's wonderful. Not only because of what you say, but your expressions being filmed. And I think that it was beautiful. But we need to do the next edition. We will have bigger videos, maybe an entire documentary. Filipa will tell me about this.
Yeah. I think this is a really excellent way to showcase a country. And really kudos on having the courage, Luís, with you and your team to say, okay, we're going to show our country through the drawings of these artists.
No, it's easy to have the courage when we have such wonderful sketchers. So kudos to you.
Incredible. It was truly incredible.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that, Suhita. Stick around. We'll have you back in a bit. Okay. And next up, Luís, let's bring on Jenny, who was at the Azores. Azores? How do you pronounce that?
Azores.
Azores. Okay.
Azores. It's actually like you sneeze.
Azores.
Yes, okay. Perfect.
With a nod at the end.
Now I'll have all the Azorians claiming about me saying it. The pronunciation is like if you sneeze, but it's easier. The Azores.
Okay. Azores. Okay.
9 islands in the middle of the Atlantic.
Oh, that sounds magical. All right, let's bring Jenny on. Hello, Jenny. Jenny, you've got to unmute yourself. No
Sorry,
problem.
I was still stuck at the snoozing part.
The sneezing part. Hi, Jenny. So good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of this. So before we jump into all that, I wanted to show everybody your hero slide so that they can also find you on Instagram. If you've just joined us, this is USkTalks. We have a special episode. We're talking to some sketches right now who were part of Sketch Tour Portugal. This amazing collaboration between the Urban Sketchers movement and Turismo Portugal, the Tourism Commission of Portugal, where they invited local sketchers and international sketchers to pair up and showcase a country. So hang in there. We've got more amazing artwork to show you. So this is Jenny on Instagram, Ronky Punk. I mean, that is such a cool Instagram handle. Okay, Jenny. So for those who have not been to Azores, please tell us, what was it like for you? You're from Germany, correct, Jenny?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So, as Luís said, the Azores are a group of islands smack in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So they're as far from mainland Europe as you can possibly get while still remaining in the EU. And I really felt that because they have such a rough and remote beauty. And you really feel like, okay, I'm in the middle of the ocean and I didn't know about this place beforehand. And it was a real discovery.
How many days were you there?
We were there for a week, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I sketched with local sketcher Alexandra Batista. I saw she was in the comments earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
we had a lovely time. Yeah.
I can imagine. I'm sure that the viewers cannot wait to see the work that you did. So let's bring that up and show Jenny's sketchbooks. She's done a video so that we can actually see what it was like. So
yeah. So we're starting out. We start out in Ponta Delgada, which is the capital of the Azores. And we started with a sketch walk there, and Alexandra took me to see some views to get started. And you already see, if you stop there for a minute, that the Azores have very interesting architecture and landscape. And I always try to compare it to other places I had been. Like the architecture reminded me like of colonial architecture I'd seen in Brazil. And the mountains reminded me of the Alps, including happy cows and so on. But it was really, truly its own place. And this is a super special place where I was really, really amazed by the nature. So this is Lagoa de Fogo, which is a volcano crater lake. So the Azores are of volcanic origin. So you have these crater lakes that are up in the mountains, and they have the most amazing turquoise water, such lush greenery around it, dramatic clouds. And what's interesting in this view, you have this crater lake, and in the background you have the Atlantic Ocean. So you have these two big masses of water behind each other, and I had never seen something like this. So that was truly amazing.
Yeah, it looks so dramatic and awe-inspiring. I mean, I think I would spend most of my time with my mouth open.
Yeah, I was like that. I was like that dog who hangs his head out of the car window, and I was like, what is happening?
I'm really here. Did you feel like in 1 week that you had time to absorb anything, or was it just an amuse-bouche?
Yeah, and amuse-bouche captures it really well because, as Luís said, it's a group of islands. It's 9 islands in total. In 1 week, we managed to go to 3 islands. First to São Miguel, which is the main island. Then we go on to Terceira and to Pico. And I want to see every island. Each island has its own character. And yeah, I would love to explore that more.
And just looking at your artwork, I mean, it's so poetic, I think, the way you've captured things.
Yeah, thank you. It's I'm so nostalgic when I look at this because, I really drew a lot with watercolor, drew a lot of landscapes. It's all very, moody, I would even say. And my work now is like completely different. And so it seems like a long, long time ago, but yeah, it's a beautiful memory. So here you see.
Let me just ask you really quickly, how long would you say you spent the range of drawings, from quick ones to a longer one that you might have spent time on? How much time did you take?
I did drawings. I did some line drawings only, which were maybe 10 minutes. And then I did some longer watercolor sessions, maximum 40 minutes, I would say, because I was also so overwhelmed by the scenery and wanted to capture everything. So sometimes I would only manage a line drawing with the idea that I could color it later, which never happened, to be fair, because there was the new drawing to do.
Yes, so. There's always more.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
now we're continuing. If you stop there, we're continuing to the next island, which is Terceira, which was truly one of the highlights of the trip for Alexandra and me, because the capital of Terceira is, I will mispronounce this, Luís, please correct me, is Angra do Heroísmo?
Perfect.
Yes.
Again, in slow motion, so everybody knows and they can find it.
Angra do Heroísmo.
Okay, I don't think I could spell that out, but okay.
I looked it up before this session because
Everybody
cannot mess this up. I cannot mess this up.
Look up Jenny if you want to know where that is. We're also found on Instagram.
It's a beautiful old town. I think it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's amazing. A beautiful little town. And this is a drawing we did in a very cluttered old general store, over 100 years old. The owners seemed to be as old as the store. They were so nice, so welcoming. And it was a truly amazing experience to draw in a store that functioned like a village central, like everybody was coming in and talking. And it was really, truly amazing experience that only continued on that morning. If you restart the video, there's another drawing.
Before I do that, I'm just going to pull up a question that one of the audience members is asking. Eileen is asking, this looks like a special sketchbook with the logo on it. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about the sketchbooks.
Yeah, the sketchbooks are from Portugal, Portuguese sketchbooks by Laloran. You see the logo that is embossed on it, and they are made by the wife of Mário Linhares, Keta Linhares, and they are my favorite sketchbooks. They truly are. They're not paying me to say that, but they could. And they're handmade, and they're really beautiful, and they have amazing watercolor paper, and they come in different colors. And that's the sketchbook we had for that project.
Yeah, gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous work to fit a gorgeous sketchbook. Okay, so let's resume the video. Oops.
It's what I was saying earlier. I was so overwhelmed by these sceneries, and that I only managed to do line drawings. But I have great memories of that place. You've done a great job, like capturing so much. Yeah, I think I filled 2.5 sketchbooks in a week. I've never done that before, nor afterwards. I hope I'll manage it again someday. Okay, let's go through one more sketchbook. Yeah, this is the only night sketch that I did, I think. This is the Festa São Joaninas in Terceira, which is a big folk festival. I think it has a religious Catholic background. And it was so fun to suddenly see the city full of people, because the Azores are not terribly, they don't have a big population. They don't have a lot of tourism. So you are often, you don't see that many people, but suddenly the crowds were coming in, and you have a lot of Azorean expats living in the US and Canada, and they all come back for that festival. So it was a massive festival in the streets, great mood, fantastic atmosphere. Oh, that sounds so tempting. I bet the food was good too. Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever eaten so well. Yeah, I saw a comment. Uma says that you don't. Portugal is not for diets. I think, was that you, Uma? That was Uma.
Yes, it is. It all depends on what you eat. But fish, you don't get fat by eating fish, so.
That's true. And if you walk around a lot to look for things to draw, you burn it off. Right? Yeah. All part of the sketch's metabolism. Okay, Jenny, show us. Tell us what's happening here. Yeah, so we've moved on to the next island. We're in Pico, and Pico is known for producing wines. So I think they've been producing wines in Pico for 200 years or so. And they've developed their own special method of agriculture when it comes to wine. So Alexandra and me documented that a bit. We drew in the vineyards. We drank some wine, obviously, for research purposes. And
continued on.
I have to say, the way you use line and wash is really beautiful.
Yeah. And this is Alexandra, my good sketching buddy. And I had to include this picture of her because I think it's so fascinating, because the concept was, okay, let's take an international person and a local person and mix them together and hope it works out. Which, in theory, it could be a recipe for disaster because you don't know this person. But it was truly amazing. So I spent 10 to 12 hours daily for a week with a virtual stranger. We didn't share a common language in a foreign country, and we got on fabulously. So, and I do credit Urban Sketches for that, because we connected through drawing together, through sharing meals together, through these travel experiences. And I think that's just the way Urban Sketches see and experience the world. And it's such an open-minded community that really facilitates these kinds of connections.
I think that what you said is so true. And did I hear you correctly that you don't speak a common language?
Well, of course, we both had we both had English, but we also spoke in a mix of Spanish and Portuguese. It was like, it was very funny because, Alexandra sometimes spoke to me in Portuguese and I understand it a bit because I took a class once. And then I answered in Spanish and English sometimes, and it must have been very funny for those who were listening to us.
Oh, that's remarkable. But what amazing memories you must have.
Truly, yeah. And Pico was also very beautiful when it came to landscape. Pico has one of the highest peaks in Europe. I think that's the next. No, not highest peaks in Europe. That's not true, but Portugal, I think. Luís?
Highest in Portugal.
Yeah. Okay. So this is like real high mountain landscape. And once again features these amazing greens, because the climate is also very interesting. They have not very hot summers, not very harsh winters. There's not much of a temperature difference. So the climate is very nice year round. Sometimes the weather can change from 1 minute to the next. So you have these dramatic skies and then the sun comes through. So that's always very interesting. Yeah.
How did you decide between the two of you? How did you decide when to stop and draw something?
It was really like, should we sketch here? Yes. That was our usual conversation. The answer is always yes. Yeah. So this is also in Pico. Pico also has a bit of a sad history, I think, with whaling, because it used to be a capital for whalers going out. So you have a lot of fishing boats. There's a whalers museum. A lot of the streets and squares are named after the whaling boats or the whalers. So yeah, that's quite nice. If you continue on, you see some more of that. Some more fish. Also, like the food we had was really great, because a lot of the food that you get in Azores is from Azores, because it makes no sense to get it from the mainland. It's 1,000 kilometers off. And
okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's like really, I think the Azores are in the middle of nowhere, but in the best way possible.
Wow.
So they are very remote, very isolated, but I think that also helped them to keep their uniqueness. True. I think
you have to think on the good side. You're closer to the United States than Lisbon or any other part of Europe. So, and you have direct flights. So, just
how long does it take to fly from Lisbon to the Azores?
2 hours.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's a dedicated trip, but it looks like paradise.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. It's been 4 years, and it's on my list, and I want to go back and do some hiking as well and discover some more of the islands. I got plans.
I am not surprised. I'm not surprised. So it was just the two of you driving together in a car, and then you'd be like, "Oh, let's go here and go there."
Yeah, we actually it depended a bit on the island because it was different on the 3 different islands, but we had a driver even.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So very
Did you have a
luxurious.
specific itinerary, like certain places that you definitely want to go to? Okay.
Yeah, we had that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the end of that sketchbook. You also see, it's not a very good painting, but you see the little dots because I was painting in the rain. So that can happen anytime. So it rains sometimes, but it never lasts long. That's the good news.
Oh, and that adds to the charm of the memory that you have. Incredible.
Thank you so much.
That was such a nice way to wrap up the Sketchers. I mean, we showcased 3 Sketchers, and Jenny's, I think, was really nice way to show like the body of work that could be done during that particular time. Thank you for sharing that with us, Jenny. That's so cool. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
It was absolute pleasure. Stick around. We'll have you back in a little bit, and we'll see you again. Okay. So, Luís, that was so nostalgic for me too, and I think I didn't get a chance to see some of the work, like all the work from some of the sketches. So that's really awesome. If the viewers want to see the repository of works, where should they go?
Well, they can. We launched a book. Filipa will tell you a little bit about that later. We launched a book with some of the sketches, not all, and it's really impressive to see Suhita and Jenny art in the books. And we have some of the samples on the urbansketchertour.com, Portugal Urban Sketcher Tour or something like that. In the website, you can find some more information and the details where people were. And it's really interesting because I think that the advantage of traveling to one place or through one thing like Suhita with the surf and João, that you understand the place, that you change the program in the middle of the program. I know that because I changed the Madeira one for the next edition because I'm from Madeira. And I said, no, we have to go here, we have to go there because it's completely different. And the way we see or the way we choose the place to stop is completely different from any other person in the world. It has nothing to do with the typical selfie. It has to do with what you feel or what you want to sketch or what you want to put on that precise page of your book.
Okay. Well, this is a perfect time to bring Filipa up as well, because she can also tell us, between the two of you, you can tell us how this came together. Hello, Filipa. Thank you so much.
How are you?
So Filipa, for those who are, let me share your hero slide. She is the Communications Director of Tourism Portugal. And so she was instrumental working with Luís and the team to put this entire thing together. Now, first, I have to ask you, this is of such a scale. And for those of you who might have just joined us, this is a special project between Urban Sketchers Portugal, who initiated it, Mário initiated, working with Turismo Portugal, with the idea of showcasing a country through sketches. Special sketches were selected based on a particular criteria, and this happened over months, so that sketches were flown in. We were sent to different locations, and we were told to, like, there was an itinerary that was set up to get us to draw and document specific things. So can you tell us a bit about that process? Like, how do you start planning? Like, let's say, pick one of the locations, say somewhere north of Portugal, like I'm sure you did Porto as well and all that. Like, how do you decide what you want to cover? And in terms, like, give us the perspective of you as Turismo Portugal, and as well as Luís, you have the input as a sketcher as well. How do you start planning all these things?
The most important thing is collaboration. So it's collaborative work. We do have people that are trained locally and on the National Tourism Board on touring, but because this is very specific and the landscape keeps changing and it develops, we actually took input. We get together a team of people, both from us and from the region. For example, if it was the north of Portugal, we would have the guys from the north and Porto region to work with us, and we exchange inputs. And then we actually do the same with, in this case, Mário, and the sketchers, the local sketchers as well. And Luís was part of that for the new project. So it takes a couple of months.
A couple of months. I was just about to ask you how long it took to plan this, from the process of like Mário approaching you to actually execution. How much time was that?
Actually, this project actually initiated when I was only on digital, so I did not get the full scope of work, but I believe it was about 6 months from end to finish and starting the tours, which is similar to what we did now as well. So I would say at least 6 months of planning beforehand.
Okay. What was some of the tougher things to organize or to work out to do something of this scale?
Looking at how things are right now, it was so simple. So that was actually, I think it's a lot of people. So the team is really big. There's a lot of input. So it's kind of coordinated chaos, I believe. But I think that's important for innovation as well. So you need that kind of creative input and have different sets of people with different expertises chipping in, because we were developing the website, we were taking care of the exhibition, everything was being done at the same time. But I think that's kind of like Suhita was saying, you're kind of in the middle of the thunder and the storm, but then it makes it worth it.
I can imagine. I mean, I was about to ask you also how the artwork was used, but I can imagine that, I mean, you have artwork that's coming in month by various sketches, and then you have to plan like how you're going to use this, where you're going to use that. What were some of the things that you like? What were some of the examples? Give us some examples of some ways that the artwork was used. Let's pull up some of these so you can walk us through them.
So we actually starting with the end. So this was the exhibit, which was during the symposium. So you can see like big scale format prints of the drawings in context with the region and the tourism products. I would also like to point out there's an olive tree in the middle of the bench. That is not by accident. As you know, it has a symbolic meaning of peace and actually sharing things with others. So it actually is important for our culture, also because of olive oil and everything that surrounds Portugal. So it's a bit of nature within a closed space, but it brought things a little bit up. Sorry.
No, I was about to say that the way you've put everything together also, and to create an exhibition of this, I mean, I was personally delighted to see this. It was so nicely designed. So I love how you respected the artwork so much as well, in the way that you've put everything together, the way you've brought all the artists together, and after that, the way that you've used the artwork. So that's really exemplary. If anybody wants to think about doing something like this is really a project to study. So thank you. Did you take this exhibition to other places as well?
It went around Portugal for a bit. It's very difficult to move these around the country and even the world. But actually, we usually, when we're doing projects, we take notes of stuff that we want to do. So we updated that for the new one. So we have a solution for something that was actually an issue because we wanted to show it to the world.
Sure. Okay. And this is a picture of all the artists who participated, all the sketches who participated. Now, I can see in the comments, some people are asking, like, was this for only selected sketchers? This was a specific collaboration between Urban Sketches Portugal with the Tourism Commission of Portugal. So, yes, it was specific people were selected for specific purposes to pair together international sketcher, local sketcher, for to record a particular place. Now, this is to give you an idea, so you could actually initiate a project like this in your city, in your country. We're just showing you ideas and how big, when you dream big, how big things can go. Let's see, amazing.
So that wall, exactly, that wall behind is actually a shared wall. So everybody that went to the exhibit actually could contribute to it. So that was an added game we did, but I think it worked really well. And actually, it has to do with the spirit of, I think, of Urban Sketchers. And we still have everything, so we can still use it when we need to.
I remember this in Porto. I mean, it was such a awesome way for people who were not part of the tour to actually participate by, adding their little bit to the drawing and all that. It's a really lovely collaborative idea. And this, I love this particular map.
This was very difficult. I also have the digital part. So maps is a very important subject for us. The country is not easy to draw because you have the mainland, which is really big, and then you have the islands spread out. So the Azores are really far away from the mainland. But we wanted to bring a little bit of humanity to the maps and a little bit of layering and context. So this is a way of showing not only the sketch, but it's also a way to show diversity. So you can actually see it's not everything, obviously, but you can see, like, if you zoom into a little spot of Madeira or the north of or Algarve, you will see there's a ton of stuff to see and to draw and to visit. So we actually use this as a whole and actually cut up. So, for example, if we are talking to journalists or we are doing, for example, trading, we do that for trade, tourism trade. We actually use this map specifically because they don't need a cartographical map. They need emotion, like the human experience. So this helps us to pass this through. This is also used on our website and social media. So we get a good use out of it as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think this is such a great way to show even all the sketchers who are going to watch this, who are watching now and who will watch. And we're thinking, like, I have to go to Portugal to draw. This is a great resource to have an idea where to go and what I can draw there. Okay, and this is the website.
So this is the website you can actually check out right now. So this is sketchtourportugal.com. It's active. It's loaded with the old project, so 2017, 2018. It will be updated very soon as we will start to do the new one. It's usually divided by artist, and then you have the regions of Portugal and then the specific activities. So we actually divided the project with the main actives of the country. So you do have the golfing, the surfing, but then also specific regions. So if you want to travel to the north or to the center of Portugal or to Alentejo, you know specifically some ideas of what to do. And then obviously the artists, because then you can see the different ways that everybody sketches and the different materials used, in your case digitally, for example, which is very different from everybody else. And it gives you different layers and it adds to the whole experience of the website. But go there, see the sketches, and keep going there because it's going to get updated very soon.
Okay. That sounds exciting. So people want to know a little bit more, check out the website, Sketch Tour Portugal. Is it sketchtourportugal.com?
.com, yes.
.com. Sketchtourportugal.com. Go. Have a look. Be inspired. And these are from the book?
Yes, this is actually, we wanted to show you the before and the after, which is really interesting because this is the construction of the book. The book was actually done on that tour specifically as a giveaway to journalists and to influencers and special people that visit us. So it's not available to everybody else, which is, it made us sad after because we actually had people emailing us wanting the book and we didn't have any more to give away. I actually gave mine away. I don't even have one copy for me because the interest, we didn't anticipate the interest being so huge on this material. But as you can see, the way it was designed, and you actually touched this, we wanted to respect the drawings. So we actually made the book around the drawing. And the text supports the drawing. So it's a different way of doing a book. But it was really interesting. And as you can see, as well as in the sketchbooks, we actually did the embossed as well for the logo. And it's a beautiful book. You also have, you cannot see here, but we also have blank pages on the book. So the idea was you invited a journalist to visit Portugal, you gave him this kind of as a tour guide, and then they have space to write or draw their experience as well. So you can keep it as a memento of your own. So that is really, I think it's really special for somebody to receive that as a gift.
Would you, I mean, I think you could definitely consider, I mean, I've seen the book, I have a copy as well. Thank you very much. And I think you could certainly consider selling these or making another run, you know, because this is an excellent way for people to understand your country from a different perspective. And it's so attractive. I think there's so much charm by adding all these drawings and paintings and sketches.
New tour, you'll have that solved as well.
Okay.
This was, if I might say something, Rob, this project, usually when we see projects like this, or we discuss this kind of projects or content to promote the country, of course, you know, half of the things that are discussed just stay on the way. You either don't have the budget to do it, or you don't have the time, or you can't do it. This project had not only everything that it proposed to have, but it had much more. And that's the interesting part of this. I think everyone got so excited with the idea and the project that ideas were just multiplicating and falling from the sky to everyone. And so congratulations to Filipa and all the team, and Mário, that they did everything and they prepared everything.
Oh yeah, it's beautifully done. I mean, it's such a it's such a class act. I got to say, the videos are beautifully shot. The artwork is so beautifully represented, and I think you must be a really an example for the tourism industry around the world.
Well, we have a great agency. We haven't mentioned them, but I think it's important because we have been working with them for a long time. And it goes back to collaboration. They're flowing with us. They know when we do a briefing, they understand what we're saying, no matter if our words are not actually there, but they understand our vision. And I think that's important as well. And they were extremely involved in the project, and congrats to them as well, partners.
Okay, well. Creative team, it's always important. So I take it that vino was a big part of the process.
Yes, wine is usually a big part of everything in Portugal. We love wine. The wine is great. We actually have, I would say, one of the greatest wines in the world. We have a ton of grape varieties, over 200 national grape varieties. So there's something for everybody to taste. So we wanted to adapt and this is actually a wine show. Where you had like exhibitions and people had talks and stuff. So like a mini web summit for wine. And we wanted to do something special, but also in proximity with people. Just offering wine is not enough. It had to be personalized. So what we did is we had an actual sketcher there, and she was actually sketching the parts of your face that actually taste the wine, which is not only the mouth, but also your nose. And then she drew your name as the branding for the wine. So
what a clever idea. That's
very simple, but it's a cool way of using sketching and bringing that human factor. And actually that small period of time where you could sit down with the sketcher and you had like 5 minutes and you were talking as well, I think kind of replicates what we did with the tours where we had 2 people and going around. So it was really interesting to experience.
Brilliant. Love the idea. So what's happening here?
So this is actually a show in Brazil we did. And instead of doing like just a normal destination show, we actually did the whole thing is just sketch tour. So we are actually presenting the country with the images and the concept we had from Sketch Tour Portugal. And obviously Brazil is a country that is very taken with images and colors, and it's very energetic. So this was really a huge hit with them, because it was really surprising to see, you know, every place from other countries was like normal. Ours was so different. Although everybody's beautiful, but this was so different. It was really unique, and we really want to keep bringing that. And our team from Brazil, Bernardo, is always telling us to try to do different stuff and pushing us to do better and different. And I think this was a huge success, and a great way of showing the images you can see are blown up. So the drawings as well are always our focus.
Beautiful. Yeah, what a way to showcase a country. And I always feel there's something about the charm of sketches that makes a place look extra appealing. So again, thank you for giving sketchers a chance to show their work in this way. Okay, so, and this is Eduardo. Oh, I remember this picture being taken also at the symposium. Okay, all this has been really, really exciting, and you've already teased us because we know what a success round one was. So please tell us what is coming up next, because you've been hinting at it already, and we'd really like to see what's next.
Yes. So just a very brief resume. So last year everybody's confined around the summer. Luís is pushing us. We need to do stuff. And the team actually thought, okay, we have time, so let's think of something. And all of our notes of what we wanted to take on Sketch Tour, how we wanted to make it bigger, or we couldn't sell the book, or the exhibit should travel worldwide, or we actually were writing those down, and we thought, why not do it again? But do it bigger, different, reloaded.
Okay, so reloaded. I love the idea. Okay, let's pull up the logo. Mark II Sketch Tour Portugal round 2, and you call it Reload. Please tell us why Reload.
Yes,
that's so intriguing.
We're kind of geeks. We have a lot of geeks in the team of different areas. So at least from my generation, when I think of Reload, I remember Matrix. So it's the same concept, but it's a new load. So it's different in a way. In this case, we are pushing in an updated Sketch Tour Portugal. So we've expanded the experience. So we are doing more tours, because actually we have an objective of showing more of the interior of Portugal. So we have specific tours for the interior of the country, because there's a lot to see. There's a lot of concentrated diversity within the country. So we will have 10 tours and not 7, which is going to result obviously in more drawings and more videos and more content. We are going to have a big documentary. So we're going to make rounds with the documentary. We'll see. Hopefully we'll see it in theaters as well as soon as this goes away. We are actually doing sound collection. So not only we are doing the sketching impressions, but also the sound impressions. We are actually, in terms of our team, we are working with accessibility and being able to promote the content to everybody and to get it to everybody on one hand. So sound makes it more accessible to other people. And on the other hand, sound is the first thing you develop as a child. So it's the one you're more connected to. And then it's writing. So it's basically both worlds together will make for a huge experience, and it's very different. To actually hear the waves of Nazaré or hearing you sketch, we can actually record you sketching and your conversations and etc. So that's really interesting. And then we thought, why should we write the book? Maybe we can bring other people to help us write the book and give us another perspective, a more narrative perspective, because what we did was very tourism. So actually what we did is bring 11 Portuguese language writers. So there's a person which is Mia Couto. I think some people here might know him. He's going to write the prologue. And I think we should see the video.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one.
No problem.
Let's play the video. Yes. Okay.
It all starts with a gaze, an examining gaze, a gaze that inquires, questions, then portrays. Everything we look at poses a choice. Which is the view that is truly worth recording? Which component must be highlighted? Which detail should not be overlooked? It means hitting the road, seeing beyond what the eye can see. It means feeling free, with the freedom that doesn't slip through our fingers, but embraces and envelops us. It means discovering big surprises and exploring small wonders around every corner. It means observing the wide, open plains and being in awe beneath the stars. It means taking the deepest breath with every wave that kisses a cliff face and having reverence for the vastness of the blue ocean. It means walking fearlessly, but with the respect that the unknown commands. Feeling the earth under our feet as it changes color and texture with every mile traveled. It means always looking in a constant state of wonder, with the confidence that we will arrive exactly where we need to be. It means becoming immersed in history and letting it seduce us completely. It means listening to the stories the walls have to tell, the secrets they reveal, and the beauty they extol. It means accepting the perfect dance of graphite between our fingers and the wonder, amazement, and pride in the work completed. To us, drawing is the purest form of travel.
That is so beautiful. I mean, that sums up sketching for us and what it means to urban sketchers. I mean, that could be like an ad for a symposium. And that is so exciting. I mean, wow. So this is Sketch Tour Portugal Reload. Thank you for all of you who are still sticking with us. Isn't this a fascinating episode? I mean, there's more to see as well. Okay, so you've got more information about round 2. Tell us about Reload and the different things that you're coming up with to accompany the project.
Yes, so for example, the exhibit, which will hopefully be, we are working on rolling calendar, which is COVID lets us, we'll do it. So it will start in April. Hopefully will end by October, November this year with the exhibit. The exhibit will be including not only the drawings, the writings, and the sounds, but also we are working with AR and VR. So we will probably have augmented reality, which is that little bottle you see there. So we're going to give, you're going to pair up in each tour a Portuguese writer, a Portuguese sketcher, and an international sketcher. They will be taking the experience together, similar to what you had in the first one, and they will be writing and drawing and sharing that experience together. They will also be collecting artifacts along the way, kind of like you used to do if we're really historian working with the mummies or something like that. You're going to be collecting little pieces of the country within the tour, and then those are going to be worked in terms of AR and VR. For example, if you go to Nazaré and you pick up a little bit of the water, you can actually then in the exhibit look at this little bottle with water from Nazaré, but then when you put your phone to it, you're going to have the water hitting you, and wow, you're going to hear the sound. So it's going to be a mixed reality. So that's the idea of bringing the sketches to life with all the other feelings, emotions, and stuff attached to it. So that's going to be a very interesting part and very different from what we did on the first one. And it will be very transportable because it's just little jars. The rest is online. It's digital.
That's
So
fantastic. What
problem
vision?
solved.
Yeah, what vision to come up with something like this. Like I can just see in the comments, Ilaria from Italy is saying, like, Portugal had the sensibility to realize all of this. Yes, I mean, there's so many ways to showcase drawings and sketches of a place, and to pair it like this is truly remarkable and visionary. Okay,
Yes.
so this is...
These are our sketchers. These are half of our sketchers, so the Portuguese and the international sketchers. As you can see, Luís is the first one. He's going to be receiving the international sketcher and the writer. For example, the writers, in this case, Madeira, our writer is actually more of, she works more of plays. So we are going to have poets, we are going to have musicians that write, we are going to have people that actually do completely different styles of writing, which is similar to what we are doing with the sketches. When Mário curates the sketchers for each project, not only he works and looks, and he will explain better than me. As you can see in the drawings here, the examples, they're very different in their use of color, their lines, the details, they're completely different. And they're actually chosen for the specific things we want to show in the country. So the Azores and Madeira are very green and luscious. So you need somebody that actually loves to paint that kind of stuff and that kind of detail. If you're going to the north, maybe you want somebody that looks at more grand drawings and architecture and straight lines. And it's completely different. And the writers as well are going to get that input. The briefing for the writers and the sketchers is basically the same. Please do X number of sketches per day.
Right.
Please go within the tour. Don't deviate too much. The writers is the same. We're not blocking them from doing anything. So it's just you have to write like X number of pages.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's the best kind of immersive creative exercise, I would say. Free reign. You gotta capture these stories and go have fun.
There's a great, the great work is done beforehand. So in the 6, 7, 8 months we did in terms of preparing this, and Mário is probably sick of us because we meet every single week. Sometimes more than once a week. So it's very intense. Everybody's very into it, and the team is really big, and everybody knows what they have to do in each part of the job. But that means that when we get to the point of actually doing the tour, everything is done, and you can actually have this freedom within the pre-planning that we did. So we're very comfortable because we made the right choices beforehand.
Okay. Well, there's no doubt. I mean, we can see the depth of thought that's gone into this. You've thought so much on how to improve from round one and reload it. I mean, the idea of adding the AR, VR, immersive bit as well, so those who cannot travel can still understand what's happening, can feel like they're actually there. I mean, and the idea of also integrating writers and musicians and all that, absolutely fantastic. So exciting. These are some of the guests that
These are some of our guest writers. The Portuguese people probably will know most of these names. They are very well-known writers, but there's also some very well-known internationally. José Luís Peixoto is translated to many languages. Sérgio Godinho is a famous Portuguese musician. Afonso Cruz as well is translated in many languages. So we have journalists. So we have a ton of different people coming from different places and with different ideas. But they are also local. So there's only one case, which is Mathilde. She's not specifically from the region she's going to write about, but she has this amazing connection to the sea, and she will be in Algarve, near the sea. So it still makes sense for us. So they will be, this time the sketcher actually has 2 Portuguese people helping them through the country and sharing the human experience of all of this, which I think is the most important thing for us in terms of branding and how this works for us as a destination, is the focus on receiving people well, receiving everybody well, and sharing this human experience through all the languages we actually can talk in, which is not only words. We can actually share drawings, sounds, images. Everything is a way to share your idea and a good way to live, which we want to get back as soon as possible.
Using all forms of art. I mean, it's incredibly inspirational. How are you managing around the idea of like, because remind us again, when is Reload, Sketch Tour Portugal Reload, when is it starting?
April. So now,
we're in April.
2 weeks from now, yes.
2 weeks from now. So it's starting 2 weeks from now. You've got travel sketchers and all these artists coming in from different places. How are you managing things around COVID?
Well, with COVID, you actually have to manage very quickly, but also very near the date. So we were very attentive to what is happening not only here, but also in other countries. We have very strict protocols in terms of health and security. So we are not only abiding by the generic specific rules for Portugal in terms of health and safety, but we actually have testing. We have our protocol is very complex. It was really well done beforehand and well prepared. Hopefully some of our sketches and some of the people traveling will probably be vaccinated before they come. So we actually scheduled the tours around that. We also schedule them around places. We want slow tourism to show the country in a way that there's space. So they will be going to different places. It's not, we don't want to show the normal touristic places. We want to show the country, the real country, the authentic country. So if they can't come, it rolls over. So it's not this week, it's next week. So we, as in everything COVID, we are working with a rolling calendar. It has to happen. It might happen sooner or later.
Okay, that sounds good. A question for Luís then also, because Luís, you're the president of Turismo Portugal, but you are also heading the European Travel Commission. Can you tell us what might be in store in terms of global travel now? I'm sure lots of sketchers have been inspired by this show. Everybody can't wait to do some sort of traveling, whether it's just going to the next country or it's going a little bit further afield. What do you see in the near future?
Well, thank you, Rob. My crystal ball is a little bit rusty at the moment, but no, jokes aside, I think we're all dying to travel and to go somewhere else. What we see and the hope we have is with the increase of vaccination, especially in many countries like the United States, with the immunity system growing, with the amount of tests and how easy it is to do testing right now, hopefully things will improve very, very shortly. Our biggest concern now is trying for countries, and especially politicians in countries, to understand that it's not about putting a country in a red list or in a yellow list that stop us flying. It's about controlling who has COVID and who doesn't. And that's our biggest concern right now, shifting from risky countries to risky persons. So even if you're from a red list country and you do the testing, or you have your vaccine, or you have your immunity system already loaded up with COVID, then you can travel and you can visit. And that's the first thing. The second thing, there are studies saying that traveling is the least dangerous activity to COVID. You get COVID when you're with your family, with your co-workers, in your social environment, not when you travel. So, and this is extremely important. If we could all pass this message, we would surely have more open channels, but hopefully this will happen very, very soon. And I hope it will happen very soon, because I'm the first one for the Urban Sketcher Reload, and I will have the pleasure of me and Marcela of receiving and welcoming Charlene from France in Madeira. Hopefully in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, let's see if things go well, and this will be very good to us too.
That's gonna be really exciting to follow. And I know lots of us can't travel right now, but we'll see this as a source of inspiration for ideas of, what if and possibilities. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. This is our longest episode yet, but it's so action-packed. There's so much exciting information.
We talk too much. Sorry, it's the welcoming part of us. We cannot. Mário is the same. We cannot help ourselves.
Yes, and there's so much to dive into. I mean, I have more questions I want to ask you, but we have to.
I know, and I have to thank you. And I've seen some questions saying, "How can we replicate this?" This is not about Portugal, and we're not concerned about people coming to Portugal. We're not promoting a country. We're promoting a way of living and a way of traveling. And that's the most important thing right now. We need to travel. We need to move. We need to be in contact with each other, especially with our Sketcher friends. So this is the most important thing for us as a country, and of course as a Sketcher. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the Sketchers that have accepted, and the past Sketchers, especially the ones from Portugal that have done such a wonderful and incredible work welcoming everyone in Portugal.
So well said. Okay, this is bringing us towards the end of the show, but we are not done yet because there is one bit that lots of our viewers are sticking around for. So let's bring our Sketchers back. Hello, Suhita. Hey, Jenny. Let's bring Mário. It's like a big Sketcher party. We're ending it that way. And of course, we have to talk about the Sketch Challenge because, after talking about all this, I'm sure lots of people are inspired, like, I want to do something too. Think everyone out there, there are so many things that you can do with urban sketching to promote your place or to bring people together. This helps you to put your thinking cap on. But now let's get to the sketching challenge of the week. All right, here comes the slide. All right. So what we'd like you to do is think. You are representatives of sketches all around the globe. Think about where you are in your neighborhood, safely, of course, and think of one place you would take sketches to. So the title is A Must Sketch When You Visit Me. When sketchers come and visit you, wherever you live, think about where you would take them. See your neighborhood with the fresh eyes of a tourist and recommend a top spot for visiting sketchers. So to explain a little bit more, we have an example here. You see in the tile, this is Suhita. So I'd like to invite Suhita to explain a little bit. Suhita, why this particular piece?
Thank you, Rob. So for me, I was in the mindset of talking about what we did at Sketch Tour Portugal, and I thought of how connected it is to where I am. So you come visit me in San Jose, I drive you down to the coast, 20 minutes from me, and anywhere on the California coast, all year round, we can sketch. So they have cliffs, they have beaches, they have beautiful stuff along the coast. And you come visit me, I'm taking you there.
Are we talking Monterey Bay?
We're talking around the Monterey Bay region. So you're coming soon, right?
Yes. Well, fingers crossed. Definitely.
Lovely.
Thank you, Suhita. That is gorgeous. All right. Jenny, what's happening here? Tell us.
So this is a view I sketched recently in Hamburg, Germany, where I live. And my invitation to you is to sketch something that you only see at second glance. So in Hamburg, sometimes you have the remains of the so-called Gängeviertel, which are these conglomerates of houses from the 18th century, and you have very few of those left. And if you see them from the street, you might only see a regular facade. But if you look from a vantage point, like here from above, or if you go inside, you see that there is so much more. And I think that really keeps in the spirit with going beyond the usual tourist route.
Oh, I love the idea that you're showing us all places that are not like major landmarks, but, off the beaten track, something that only an insider would know, which brings us to Mário's drawing. Mário, tell us about this piece.
Okay, so this is a really old drawing from me, 2015, and this is just, to me, the most beautiful corner in Lisbon. And why? Actually, we don't have a cafe there. We cannot sit outside eating something, but to sketch, it's an amazing place because we have this street going up to the Faculty of Fine Arts, and then we have a street going down to downtown of Lisbon with the electric cables, and we see the castle. So we see, in terms of drawing, there is a lot of challenges here, and it's so beautiful. So to me, this is the place where I always bring my friends who love to sketch, and there is no one there, so we can just sit and enjoy the view.
Oh, I can see like Uma is saying, "We're coming."
I'm there, Mario. As soon as I get my shots.
I certainly understand that. Okay. Thank you all. You have been amazing guests. Thank you for your patience. We have never hit the 2-hour mark. This is our first time, but it is so worth it. Thank you so much, Luís and Filipa from Turismo Portugal. Then we've got Peggy, Mário, Suhita, and Jenny from the urban sketching world. Wow. You've all been awesome. You've given us lots and lots to think about. So I raise a glass to you, a virtual glass, clink. One day we shall sit with espresso and pastéis de nata. And I said pastéis, not pastel, because it is plural.
Yes.
And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you all so much for being such awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks to the
Thank you, Rob.
USkTalks team.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Just give me a second while I do this little bit of juggling. Okay, Mário and Peggy, now that I have you here, also one bit of advice for sketchers who would like to think of something, like first steps, like where you're going to send them to, like there'll be lots of questions and ideas. Peggy, you first. What should people do?
Even if you have a slight inkling of thinking of something like, can we do this? Just email and we can discuss. It doesn't mean that we can come down to the ground and do it with you, but we can explore ideas. I think it's just capitalizing on our wealth of information and resources and just stretching out into our network. So let's see what we can come up with.
Okay. Mário, advice as someone who's been through the entire process from start to finish of something of this scale, what would your advice be?
I think the first step is go to our manifesto, the urban sketch, and we raise the value of on location drawing, and we need to believe that. We need to believe that what we do has a value, and has a value in so many different areas, and we can do that on education, teaching where art is not being taught. And we can do a lot of things, but we can do a lot of things in our own context. When you have a specific context, you need to look around and, okay, maybe I can do something here. If I'm in a different country or in a different city, maybe I can do a different thing. So that's the beauty of urban sketchers. We are all connected with different cultures, different contexts, and we can do much more than we think.
Yeah, I love the idea of diversity. I mean, usually we think of how we bring sketchers together to draw something, but what I love about Sketch Tour Portugal is the way that it is used to promote slow tourism. It is a way to uplift sketching as an art form, and that is so unique to have a country, a tourism commission that is willing to be adventurous enough to think, I'm going to promote my country not through glossy video and photos, but through drawings of artists from around the world. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Again, thank you, Luís and Filipa, for that. I mean,
yeah,
yes.
And also it's also important to say that we never know where everything will end. So we just need to start and give the first step. And then starting working together and develop the ideas, brainstorming together, because sometimes we just have an idea, but we need to try to implement the idea, because if we just sit and do always the same thing, the results will be always the same thing. So we need to do something different.
And perfect way to end the show. Perfect way to end the episode. Get your thinking caps on. If you're under lockdown, it's time to think and reflect and think about possibilities. Okay, so with that, that's the end of this show. Thank you all so much. If you're going to do the challenge, please hashtag USkTalks Challenge, hashtag our guests. And I mean, you can watch the show again and get all those Instagram tags. Have fun. Stay safe when you sketch, please. And remember, next week, the show shifts time. 3 a.m. GMT, not 3 p.m. GMT. It'll be 12 hours earlier than when you tune in this time. So something to think about. Okay. Thank you all. Stay safe. Keep sketching. And we will see you next week.